Albert A. Wall, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 230 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor. There's no Damon this week. Damon is off at Dollywood.
Yeah.
Seemingly enjoying himself.
Seen him posting a little bit. He seems to be having a good time.
He does seem to be. Although I haven't seen like any posts from like the actual like park or like I feel like he posted a picture of the bus and like nothing else.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, well, that's par for the course with Damon. You know, he doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'll be honest that in the past I don't think we've gotten even like the bus pictures from him.
That's true.
Yeah, he usually
I feel like
doesn't.
he tends to do a photo dump at the end. He's more of a photo dump at the end kind of person. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he'll usually kind of put stuff after the fact instead of while he's there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. How was your vacation? How was your week off?
It was good. We were out in Canmore, Alberta. For anyone that's been out in that area, it's pretty nice. It was it was a little bit rainy, which actually it was funny actually that we've had it hot here like it's been everywhere else, and for the first day we were out there, it rained, which dropped it down to 16 degrees. Which I'm sorry, I don't know the conversion to
Fahrenheit. Yeah.
But it was cooler, which actually worked out to our benefit because
it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, which it's not bad, but it cooled things down enough that we could enjoy ourselves, because when it gets too hot, you don't really want to do anything, right? So yeah. But yeah, we had a good time out there.
That's good. Yeah. Did you get a chance to? I know you wanted to see the Haunted Mansion movie. Did that end up happening or no?
Oh no, yeah. Actually, we were going to, and we just we ran out of time. Like we were busy with other stuff, so it just didn't happen. Yeah. So we might try again. My wife actually has a couple of days off, so we might try and see it like midweek or something.
Yeah, there's so many movies like I want. It's funny because my mom texted me, being a retired person, and she's like, they went and saw Oppenheimer, and my mom's like, oh, are you going to go see it? I was like, I don't see any movies ever. Yeah, like I like when do I have time to go see movies? Like
it's committing like 2 hours to something doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it kind of is, because I guess it's more than 2 hours, because it's that
Oppenheimer was 3 hours, I think. Yeah,
right. But I mean, on average, it's like because it's not just
average,
you have to kind of like getting there. It's not like you just like go watch the movie and leave. It's always like, I guess maybe I don't know how other people do it, but I always find that going to the movies is like. It like takes a whole evening for me. It's not just like, I could do this and then go do something else. It's like I'm basically booking my evening off for that thing, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, that's I don't know. My wife and I just don't do like movie date nights anymore. First of all, like most of the time, whatever we want to see is not the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. So like
that's too.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I mean, I think most of the time it's. I mean, we would both go see Haunted Mansion probably, but like anytime you do a date night, it's just absurdly expensive with babysitters and we buy dinner for the babysitter usually, and so like and then whatever it costs us to go out, it's just a lot. So we don't do it as often, and typically when we do, we go and have dinner. We don't go do like a movie or anything like that, but. Haunted Mansion probably would be a good opportunity. Although who knows how much longer that's going to be in theaters, since it hasn't done particularly well. But
yeah, and also there's part of me that like to your point about like date night and stuff, is that I could just order food in and watch it at home on Disney Plus.
Yeah, this is exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. You just wait a little bit. Yeah,
that might be an option too. But
that's what I do with pretty much everything nowadays, right? Like, I mean, I just wait for it to come out, right? Like, I still haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3 yet. I'm just waiting for it. I mean, it's out on Disney Plus now, but again, this one of the very few superhero movies that my wife wants to watch with me, so I have to wait for her to be wanting to watch it, to actually watch it. So,
yeah, my wife actually vetoed watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Really?
Yeah, because when she found out that there was, because there's all the
animal
backstory
stuff
with Rocket,
Yeah.
and she's like, I don't want to see that, and I'm like, okay, fine, then we won't watch it.
Well, you can watch it without her, then, right? I mean,
yeah, but like you know, we'll sometimes sit down and like we'll find a movie on Disney Plus and watch it together every once in a while. But I suggested it to her, and she's like, I actually don't want to watch that, and so it's like, okay, never mind, we'll find something else.
I get it. I mean, I've heard it's a little brutal, especially. I mean, I think most people really like animals and don't like seeing animals be hurt. But I mean, if you're especially sensitive to that, I could see why you wouldn't want to watch that.
Yeah.
But,
so. Yeah. We'll probably, like I said, we're going to still try and see Haunted Mansion in theaters, but like you said, I don't know how much longer it'll be there, and if it gets far enough along, we may just decide to wait until it comes on Disney Plus anyway, and
which will probably be October because they're probably going to shoot for Halloween, right? So,
and then it's it's a good Halloween movie, right? So
yeah, I do find it interesting that Disney released that movie at the same time as what everyone assumed was going to be two giant blockbusters in Barbie and Oppenheimer, and then also released a movie that's kind of, not scary, but it's like it's in the horror genre. It feels like it belongs more in October than it does in the summertime. Like it's kind of odd to me that they did that. And I read that it might be because they want to release it on Disney Plus in October. And so to do that, they had to put it in theaters a couple months earlier. But if that's true, that just tells you what the strategy is these days, that the theaters really don't even matter nearly as much as the streaming services do,
Yeah, that you do bring up a good point there. I do find it weird, but Disney's done this before too, right? Where they don't always line stuff up with like, this is like a seasonal movie, so we're going to release it, at that time. But you're right. Something like Haunted Mansion, you would figure they would leave it more towards Halloween. But that maybe they did have some other intent for it, and they just had to do the theater release at this time. Which the other thing, like the point about releasing alongside Barbie and Oppenheimer, it's not like the different studios are like talking and
sure, yeah, no,
and whatnot. So I guess it's kind of hard because they probably set a date, and then as they get closer to the date, you start seeing when other movies are coming out. And I'm sure that it's not easy for them to change gears and be like, oh, actually, sorry, we're going to push this a week or whatever, right? Like it's that, like, usually once the date is set in stone, they can't really do anything about it.
Well, they push movies sometimes, though. They push movies back sometimes. I mean,
there is, but usually, by the time you start seeing promotion, because if they've announced a date, there's all the media promotion and everything around it, and it's very hard to.
Once you get a couple months out, it's hard.
Once you have an established date, and there's enough media stuff out there about it, it's very hard to go back and say, actually, wait, no, we're coming out a week later, because enough people have seen the previous date that people are going to show up thinking that people show up a week early, going, where's this movie? And it got pushed a week, and then I know personally, if that happens, I would be like, forget it. I'm not even going to bother now. Right. Like, it kind of blows up in their face. So I can see why, even if they knew that these other releases were coming, they can't really stop the train at that point.
No, I agree with that. It is interesting though, because I almost feel like we're getting to the point now, and I feel this, and we'll talk about this a little bit later when we talk about the earnings call, because they did talk. Iger talked a little bit about the movies from recently, and but I do feel like the theaters are almost icing on the cake at this point, right? Like where it's they're putting these movies out, and it's obviously like, if it doesn't make a lot of movie money in the theaters, okay, who cares, right? Because it could get a ton of views on. It could be a thing, like Encanto. Encanto didn't make a lot in the theaters. Now, given it was right on the cusp of COVID, right? So like, you can't blame that. But like, Encanto was the biggest thing ever on Disney Plus, right? So like, in some ways, it's great that it makes a lot of money in the theaters, but it's also important for them to, to put that on the streaming service and get a lot of stuff there. And even the Indiana Jones movie didn't do great, right? But Iger was talking about how the previous 4 Indiana Jones are some of the most played titles on Disney Plus right now because the new one came out. So it's like it's interesting how that media strategy is kind of changing with movies, where it's like, yeah, sure, it's great if it makes $1 billion. Like, you want that, right? You still want that. But if a movie like, Haunted Mansion doesn't do well in the theaters, they're still going to put it on Disney Plus, and where it could find an audience. And, how many movies? I mean, the direct, kind of thing that used to happen in the past with this was VHS, right? And DVDs. There were lots of movies that bombed in the theaters and then found an audience later on home video, right? Like, it's still happening. It's just happening with the streaming services instead, right? So
yeah, and even funny to that point as well. Like, I didn't realize this about Hocus Pocus until Hocus Pocus 2 was coming out, was that when the first movie came out, it didn't do well either in theaters.
It got banned.
Yeah, but it found later on, like you said, with the VHS release and everything, it found that like cult status.
Yeah, exactly.
People were like, oh, this is the greatest movie. But it's like you said, it feels like there are certain movies that in theaters, you kind of have those moments of hype where it's like, everybody went and saw this movie and it was amazing. But I don't think that's going to happen the way that it used to anymore, because of the fact that, people are full and well aware that it's, if a movie is coming out in theaters, it's like, well, it would have to be like the most amazing movie ever, or else you're still going to have a chunk of your audience that looks at it like we do is, I would rather wait until it comes out on a streaming service where I've already paid for the streaming service. So it's not costing me anything extra. And, I can watch it at home. But yeah, I think Disney's starting to see that the money is, there is money to be had still after the theater release.
Yes, release. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, planning differently and thinking more about the long term instead of just like a lot of movies. It's like, they're like, we have to make all of our money back in the first week or else it's a bust. And it's
yeah.
But these movies end up going on for years afterwards, or they live on as, they become, in certain circles, popular movies that, years later, people are still, paying for them on streaming services and whatnot. But, I guess it's hard because, how do you explain to a studio that, you'll get your money back in eventually, in 5 years instead of in a weekend. Right. And
yeah.
And from Disney's point of view, if they're doing it all in house, they're the ones in control of that anyway. So they can kind of budget and plan for it that way. So
yeah, I think
I see where it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think Disney expects that, right? Because they know they're going to make it back in merchandise. They know they're going to make it back by putting these things in the parks. Because of the way that Disney's so vertically integrated, they cannot make money on a movie and still end up making money on the movie afterwards, whether it be through streaming, whether it be through merchandise, whether it be through putting things in the parks. Like, they're still going to make their money, right? Like, this happened recently actually with Elemental, to your point, right? So Elemental did not start out well, right? Like, it started out with a kind of a rough opening, which is weird for Pixar movies, but then it just kind of kept making a steady amount of money to the point where it made, almost $500 million. But it, like, people were initially calling it a bomb, but it really didn't bomb. It actually ended up doing really well.
It's a slow burn.
It was a slow burn, yeah, which is not the norm, right? Like, normally it's you have this huge audience the first weekend, and then there's this precipitous drop off the next week, right? And that continues on. But that didn't happen with Elemental. It just kind of was a steady, like you said, slow burn for like a while. So it's just interesting because I think Disney realizes this as much as anybody, and is that they'll make it back in other places. They make it back with Disney Plus, they make it back with merch, they make it back with parks. So anyway, that was not a conversation that we thought we were going to get into, but it just kind of happened. So
here we are. That's fine. So do we want to get to? Looks like we have one listener question this week.
Yeah, because we didn't put a post in the Facebook group. I'm not going to point any fingers at anybody.
Well, okay, but I mean, he was on vacation, so I mean, I
Yeah.
guess we both could have done it. So that's as much
Yeah, I guess you could.
it's as much my fault as anybody's.
No, that's
So
my fault too, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah,
we need to get better at that because
probably.
we're all used to certain things happening a certain way. We need to not assume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, so Chris says, do you have any relationship with your DVC guide, like so many people seem to, or do you just treat it as purely transactional? I guess yeah, for me it is purely transactional. And yeah, I guess there or when we first started out, I think, when we were asking questions to our guide and everything, like we had definitely a lot of conversation with him. But I found that, like, even we did talk to him, like when the Disney or the Disneyland Tower was coming up, but I found that unless we were actively buying something, there wasn't a lot to talk about. so I guess it is just purely transactional. We don't just like ever call him up and be like, hey, what's going on, right?
Yeah, so I used my very first guide from when I first bought. I didn't really have any kind of relationship with that person, other than that first purchase that I made. And then, I've talked about this before. I have a friend who was a DVC guide. And so I moved to being, she took over my relationship. And it was a little bit different, obviously, because there's a personal friend that I've had for, since college. For me, it was like, okay, great. I can have my friend do this. And she did what I would think that most DVC guides should do for their clients. Like, every time I was at Disney, she knew, and she would like call and leave a message in our room, or she would leave a note for us, or like, she would do all this kind of nice stuff, right? Like, and that's like, to me, if you're going to have a relationship with your guide, and I'm sure a lot of the guides do that for probably the people that have, more money, I guess. That sounds really bad, but they're probably always trying to get people, to buy more. But now my friend got a promotion, so she's no longer my guide. I don't have a guide at the moment, and truthfully, I don't really know if I need one, because I don't, I'm not going to buy direct anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of exactly the thing, is that like I said myself, is that unless I'm actively buying something from them, I don't know that. Or I guess it would be nice, yeah, if my guide, left us a message in the room or whatnot. I mean, to be fair, he actually did help us set up our first booking and all that. And
yeah.
I think I remember I think he had something. There was something that was supposed to happen when we got there, but we actually that was when the hurricane happened in 2016, that we pushed our trip 2 weeks. So all of that got blown out of the water anyway. So
literally.
Yeah.
You've had really bad luck with hurricanes in your trips to Disney. Like,
I mean, we've only actually experienced one, and we've been delayed by one. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it could be worse.
I guess it could be worse. Yeah.
But yeah, we're trying to avoid hurricane season now, but we'll see how that goes.
It's hard though. Hurricane season's so long, but you're going in like early February though, right? Or you're going in February next year. So you're definitely avoiding hurricane season this time. So
you say that, but who knows?
I'm just imagining the weather report in my head. The very rare February hurricane for Florida. Like, it's not impossible, I guess, right? But yeah, I actually have been. I'm still thinking. I think we're going to go for one day the week of Thanksgiving. I've been talking about this for a while, but I think that's gonna happen. We're just going to do a Magic Kingdom day, just to see the decorations and all that stuff, and take my daughter for a day, since we're going to be right around the corner, basically. So I think it's happening. I'm not going to tell my daughter that we're going to do a surprise thing. So.
That'll be perfect. She'll love that. And,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and yeah, she hasn't gotten to experience the Christmas stuff at Disney yet, has she? Yeah,
no, she hasn't. I am a little worried about the crowds, right? Because I was looking at crowd calendars, and I was like, maybe like the couple days. I mean, like, earlier in the week before Thanksgiving, it'll be okay, but it's gonna be awful. But it is what it is. I mean, like you have to just go into it expecting it. We did. I talked about this on the show before too, years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. We went and our last day was the day before Christmas Eve, and that last day was crazy. Like, you couldn't walk, kind of crazy. Like it was really, really, really difficult. So I mean, I don't think it'll be maybe slightly better for Thanksgiving, but probably not that much. But we're going to try to go early in the week. I think we're going to do like the Monday before Thanksgiving, because that Sunday has one of the Christmas parties. So we don't want to have, obviously a limited day. So I think we'll probably do that Monday. But yeah, we'll see. But anyway,
if you're lucky, people will still be traveling by that point, and you won't have. I know it seems like, usually before the holidays, there's a bit of a lull because of, people traveling and whatnot. So maybe you'll get lucky. And
that would be good. That would be nice.
Yeah.
So, all right. So a little bit of DVC news, and this is not specifically DVC, I guess, but this is, changes at DVC resorts. And I think it probably affects DVC people more than it affects regular hotel guests, right? I don't know.
I mean, I guess, because I don't know where you're storing alcohol in a room without a fridge, but
yeah. So effective August 1st, this went into place 2 weeks ago now, but we're just seeing news reports about it now. Is Bell services at the DVC resorts and at Disney are no longer accepting alcoholic beverages with grocery orders. They will take the delivery and they'll hold it, but you have to be there to meet the delivery person, which kind of makes sense, but it makes me feel like maybe they've had some issues with people that are not of age, taking these alcoholic beverages, and they don't want to be liable for that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that because, technically anybody in the room, like, if you've got something at Bell Services, you can go down and get it from Bell Services, right? And I could see situations where, a 17 or an 18-year-old, is, hey, go down and get the grocery stuff, right?
Yeah.
And, if somebody underage shows up and, your Bell Services is handing them a bottle of alcohol, that's not good. So
this also might be a policy change from the third party companies too. Like it might be that Instacart changed their policy and we don't know. You know what I mean? Like that Instacart's like, no, you have to come and meet. So they just made a blanket policy, Yeah,
I mean, but I guess the thing is that, like, I know Amazon and like a lot of, like, even like DoorDash and stuff now does alcohol delivery, but I think the thing is for them, I can't see it being an issue because the people who are working at Bell Services or I guess I shouldn't assume that, like, would everybody working at Bell Services be an adult? Is it? I mean,
I don't know. It's a good question.
You could hire a 20-year-old to work at Bell Services, and again, maybe that's part of it. Is not just people who are picking it up. Maybe they don't want to deal with making sure that if there's an employee that's underage, not having them have to deal with that, right? That could be part of it too.
Yeah, it could be. It's definitely an interesting situation. Like, I understand from their point of view, right? Like, because like we said, you could end up in a sticky situation where, to your point, like a teenager, right, went and got the stuff and then, drank this, and then you have, a situation where a parent is very unhappy that the Bell Services person just allowed them to have alcohol, So I get it. It makes total sense to me that they would have to do this. It's actually kind of surprising they didn't require you to do this before. I mean, I've never gotten alcohol delivered to the hotel before. It's probably because we drive. So like if want alcohol in the room, we bring it with us, like it's not, we wouldn't necessarily order it. But it's an interesting change, but not that big of a change, but it, could be for some people that order alcohol with their stuff and, have to actually go and meet people.
I don't drink, so I don't know it's not an issue.
Well, I don't typically drink either. So yeah, that's like, it's usually not an issue for me.
I don't drink, period. So we don't have alcohol in our house at all. So
yeah, like I said, it's great it's
it's good that Disney's kind of drawing a line on it because it keeps things easier for them. But yeah, it sucks if you have to. It sucks if you're somebody like you said who has to, or not has to, but wants to have alcohol while you're on your trip. But I mean, I don't know. I guess that would, even if I did still drink, I feel like that would be like the lowest priority at Disney. I don't know. Maybe that's...
Listen, I agree with you. I am on your side with this. There's a couple things I don't understand, that people do at Disney. It's like, why do you need all that alcohol in your room? And why do, I know people that still like do their daily workout routine when they're at Disney. I'm like, why though? You're going to walk like 10 miles today. Like, can you just like not do it for like a week? Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. I like
their own.
I know, teach their own, right? Like, I'm not judging. I'm just saying I personally don't get it. And that's fine. Like, it's just not something I would do. So, which is fine. It's like I said, it's not, it doesn't matter what I would do. So, anyway, so, the artist palette at Saratoga Springs. So that is DVC related, right? So
is artist palette, is this a new, I've never been to Saratoga, so I guess I don't know. Is this a new, or is this like they've redone the menu?
They just redid the menu. They just added some things to the menu. I mean, even when I stayed at Saratoga, though, I have not been here. It's like a quick service though. So it's a quick service at Saratoga, but we actually never went in there. I don't know why we didn't while we were at Saratoga, but we just didn't. Yeah. So, that's what happens. Avocado toast. No.
Yeah. So yeah, I was going to say the very first thing on this menu is avocado toast, and I don't get avocado toast.
I just don't like avocados. So like, and I know I'm probably in the minority on that, but they just, no, I'm not a fan of avocados.
I don't mind them. I just don't get why it's such a big deal. Like,
yeah,
there's other things that I would rather put on my toast than avocado.
No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I am looking though at this French toast thing. That looks delicious.
A French toast strata?
Yeah. Is that like a muffin? It almost looks like a muffin.
It looks like a muffin served with bacon and crispy creme anglaise, which I thought that was cream cheese at first, but I guess it's not.
Yeah, I'm just noticing, the bacon it looks like it's cooked very well. It's very, very crispy.
Crispy. It's not chewy bacon.
Yeah. Not chewy bacon.
Are we doing this again?
No, we're not. Well, Damon's not here to be annoyed by it. So,
yeah.
I was just doing a throwback. I was doing it.
Yeah, I know.
Doing a reference.
Yeah.
Listen back a couple episodes. I don't. That was actually probably a bunch of episodes ago. Now.
That was a while ago. That was a couple months ago now.
Yeah. Well, go listen to our whole catalog if you want to know what I'm talking about. A charcuterie board. Okay. Listen. So at a quick service, I mean, all right. It looks all right.
Okay. I feel like charcuterie is like
adult Lunchables.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely
adult Lunchables.
But the thing is like they're trying to sell us, ooh, check out our new charcuterie board. Like you literally just threw a bunch of stuff on a plate. Like, don't get me wrong. I like, meat, cheese, and crackers. That's good. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. That would not be a selling point to me. I
like a charcuterie board. I like a good charcuterie board. But you're right though. Like it's just adult Lunchables. That's all it is.
You can only get so bougie with it.
You really can. Yeah, you really can only get so bougie, right? So there's like a brisket and horseradish sandwich here. Okay, I'm not my cup of tea, but I'm sure some people would be in for that. I do have to say that those look like house-made chips, and those look pretty good if they are. Tuna salad sandwich again, not my jam. So
I'm going to break the illusion for you here for a minute.
Yeah.
The house-made chips. If you're looking at the beef on weck and the tuna salad sandwich, the chips are identical between both of those pictures.
You know what? They are identical. They probably just switched the sandwich out for the picture, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, I wonder if it's not even like real chips, if it's just like a wad of like.
They just photoshopped it in there.
no, not even photoshopped. I wonder if they made like you can like deep fry like a ball of chips together so that it looks like it's like chips, but it's just like a wad of chips.
What a great call out on the fact that it's the same chips in both photos.
Yeah. I just noticed it. Like I just happened to look and I was like, you can see like along the edge.
Yeah.
That like the pattern of the chips
exactly
are identical between them. And
that's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah, it's only because you said something and I was like, oh, that, you know, they're just being lazy with the presentation. And yeah, you're right. They're probably just, you know, they had a bunch of sandwiches there and they're switching them out and doing the photos, right?
That's exactly what they're doing. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because they moved the other props around on the picture.
They did. Yeah, they moved the other props around.
The chips stay the same.
That's really funny. Yeah. This pizza actually looks pretty decent.
Oh yeah,
especially by Disney standards. This looks like a legit pizza. Yeah. I got some home style meatloaf. Okay. Create your own entrees. Home style meatloaf, sautéed garlic shrimp, and herb roasted chicken, and you get 2 sides with that. Okay, that sounds cool.
Okay. Now I gotta ask because maybe or maybe it's because I think I hate to say it, but I've never had good meatloaf.
Oh, okay. Well, you should have come to my house though. When I was a kid, my mom makes some killer meatloaf.
Okay, I guess maybe
not that I ate it, but
my mom's meatloaf was not great. Like it was kind of a fallback.
It was like you had nothing else, and it just you had to throw it together. Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's the thing is that when I see meatloaf, I think back to when I was a kid, and meatloaf was like we never I would have anything else over meatloaf.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So,
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Like my mom's turkey was really good. She like when she would cook turkey at like Thanksgiving and stuff, that was amazing. But yeah, the meatloaf, like we were never excited to have meatloaf, so I would never, I would never have meatloaf.
You never eat meatloaf. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. There's a ham and cheese panini over here.
That panini looks really good.
It does look really good. I don't know what kind of bread that's on, but the bread looks fantastic.
It looks very seasoned. Like there's something like there's herbs in it or like
some ham, smoked Gouda, Dijon mustard. That sounds delish.
Yeah.
Quattro formaggi. Yeah, that sounds right.
Or cheese.
Or cheese. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then, the little dessert here. There's a little Derby Day pie. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a pie shell with chocolate nut filling, aka well, they didn't say hazelnut, so I was going to say Nutella, but they're just saying chocolate nut, which usually they'll say hazelnut if it's Nutella. So I guess it's just a chocolate nut with buttercream and a nice little horseshoe on top and some stuff that looks like grass.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, Saratoga's big theme is around like horse racing.
It's all horse. Yeah. It's all horse stuff. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, this is a good menu update for a quick service. This doesn't look like quick service food. This looks like legit. No, I mean, I've had a lot of. I say that, but I mean, I've always had good food at the quick services at the hotels at the DVC resorts. So
yeah, Disney does make it hard to like a lot of their quick service it's hard to differentiate between the sit down and the quick service.
Yeah, a lot of it's good.
Which is not a bad thing because it means that, on your quick service, you're getting usually really decent food. And, for me, at least, a lot of the reasons to do the sit downs is because of a particular experience, not because of, I'm not going somewhere because, the food is the best. There's a larger piece to it. Right. So yeah, it's good that, like a lot of this, I could think that this was a sit down menu if we didn't know it was Artist Point.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, that meatloaf dish looks like it's the meat. It looks like the meatloaf they give at 50s. I mean, it looks, and that's a sit down, right? So it's not all that different, right? But I it's funny because we always stay at Kidani when we stay at Animal Kingdom, and my wife and I were talking about when we go next year about staying at Jambo, and for 2 reasons. One, because let's do 3 reasons. The Grand Villa that we were looking at, is at Jambo is 1 floor instead of 2 floors. And we're going to have some young kids, so we don't want to deal with the stair situation. 2, because the Jambo ones have pool tables, right? So which is kind of a nice little thing to have right there. And then the third reason is because Jumbo has all the quick service. Like they have a nice quick service right in there, and it's a lot more convenient, especially when we have the young kids. As much as I like Kidani, it is a little bit of a pain to hop on the little minibus and go get food, and then by the time you get back to your room, it's already cold, and it'll just be a little more convenient, I think, maybe to stay at Jumbo since we're going to be with so many people. Like I think it's fine when it's like my wife and my daughter and I, but like it's going to be a little more convenient, I think, to stay at Jumbo. So and it's because of that quick service offer. So
yeah, and I don't know about you, but I'm always elected as the one to go and get stuff from the quick service.
No.
So,
yeah. I'm always
yeah. If you're if you're not having to walk an extra 3 miles to get food, it definitely makes things easier, right?
You can, and you can walk from Kidani to Jumbo. I typically like to take the little bus, but it just takes
timing works out, right?
Like, yeah. So anyway. All right, let's go ahead and do our ad, and then we got a couple other topics here, and we'll go from there.
Okay, this week is DVC Rental Store, who is a World of DVC company that offers magical vacations at incredible value. Save up to 60% off retail rates at premium Disney resorts. DVC Rental Store now includes deposits as low as 25% at the time of booking and a built-in cancellation policy for every reservation. As always, DVC Rental Store pays out the most to members looking to rent their points. Want to learn more? Go to dvcrentalstore.com/welcome home or call 1-855-DVC-RENT. That's 382-7368. And when you do talk to them, make sure you let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
Yeah. Select that drop down, use that link. Make sure that we get credit for the you guys going to DVC Rental Store. So I think we're actually going to have somebody from Rental Store or Resale Market on next week. So
cool.
So look for that. I don't know who yet. We're working on it, but I think next show we'll have somebody. So and I know that we haven't had a Rental Store person on a little while, and I think there's been some more demand for Rental Store lately. So maybe we'll talk Rental Store. So we'll see. Yeah. So Disney had their most recent earnings call, and there were some interesting things in there, I think. And I just wanted to kind of put some highlights in here. First of all, just talking about the cruise ships are basically completely and totally booked, which is interesting that a lot more people seem to be cruising. They mentioned their capacity is at 90, or their occupancy is 98% for fourth quarter. So basically, all of the cruises in the fourth quarter.
Their fault.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, though, so like, and obviously there was like a lot of news articles out there about, the parks being empty this summer, which I think was a little blown up too much. Like I saw plenty of people.
It's not that they were empty. It's that they were, and I guess this is the thing, is that they were down in attendance from last year, but there was a surge in people last year because of COVID.
Well, and it's not just Disney either, right? Like there was, and that's what I thought was interesting about all the news articles that came out. It was like a month or so ago, because 4th of July was kind of dead at Disney, but it was also dead at Universal. Like Universal, I saw had the lowest attendance in their history this past 4th of July, right? So like, it's not just Disney; it's Orlando in general. And I know SeaWorld's been struggling too, but like it seems like that type of tourism is maybe calming down. There was a pent up demand. A lot of people took trips, and then it's just kind of evening out now. And even, they mentioned too that they're actually, that Disney World is still performing above pre-COVID levels. So, above 2019. Now they didn't say with attendance, they just said with revenue. But so we don't know if attendance is actually higher than it was in 2019, but they're making more money than they were in 2019. So, but it is interesting. I remember seeing all those articles come out, and I'm just like, okay, sure. The parks were not that busy on that day. That's fine. But like, there's more to the story than that. It doesn't mean they're just nobody's going. I've seen plenty of people go this summer, and it's been busy, It's just, and I also think like, it's almost like everybody always says don't go on holidays, right? So it's almost like people just avoided it completely on July 4th until they came, until it came to nighttime. And then nighttime, I saw the part Magic Kingdom was packed at night, for the fireworks and everything. But also it's been like crazy hot in Florida too. I think a lot of people are just avoiding the parks because it's hot,
Yeah. So that's been the thing too, is that the heat this year has, I think, pushed a lot of people from normal sunny vacations that they would do to find cooler places to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting though, like, so Disneyland's still doing well, and the parks, international parks, did very well this past quarter. Disney World was a little bit softer, but again, it seems like it's a problem overall in Orlando. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, actually, I was going to point out here that, as you were saying, the other parks are doing well. They do specifically call out for Florida that they're adjusting for Star Cruiser accelerated depreciation.
Yes,
which it sounds, or later down or further down it says the results reflect an approximately $100 million accelerated depreciation charge related to the Star Cruiser, which $100 million.
Well, it's $100 million in this quarter, Trevor. The next quarter is 150, so it's a total of 250 that they're writing off for the Star Cruiser. $250 million they spent on that.
That is crazy how expensive that was.
Yeah. Well, now you know why it cost $6,000 for 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, somebody broke it down per room, and I forget what it was. It was something. It was like a couple $1 million per room. Now, given that's not really a good way to look at it, right? Because they obviously didn't spend all the money on the rooms, right? Like they spent the money on the common areas and all that stuff, right? But yeah, that's crazy, right? Like we didn't really know how much it costs to build a Star Cruiser, and 250 is probably not the accurate number. That's what they're writing down, right? Like that's the hit they're taking on their balance sheet. But that's it's crazy that it's $250 million. Like,
wow,
yeah, absolutely crazy. But so yeah, they mentioned too, that part of this is they're coming off the 50th anniversary celebration. Part of it is that they're coming off of pent up demand. So they said, post COVID pent up demand is leveling off in Florida. Universal reported the same thing in their recent earnings as well, that they were seeing, quite a bit of softening in their attendance as well. But they've also, they're talking about too, that they're going to still be making investments. He says they're going to make numerous investments globally to the parks over the next 5 years. And then they're going to, they say a couple different things here too about like, how international travel has been expensive. So, which is also hurting them as well. Because of the strong dollar, right? Which is something that affects you, right? So,
yeah, that does definitely. For us, we are fortunate enough that because of having DVC and all that it's not enough to push us away from traveling to Disney, but it definitely, we definitely do think a little more about what we want to spend.
Yeah.
And, for a lot of people, like, there's, friends and stuff that I talk to, and they're like, yeah, we were thinking about going to Disney this year, but, I think we'll save our money and maybe look in a year or two is kind of the story that I'm hearing. Because, and a lot of it is, the dollar, people look at it and they go, the dollar's not in a great place right now, or the Canadian to US dollar isn't great. Yeah. So, people don't want to spend the extra money, which, unfortunately does hurt Disney's bottom line. So
it does. Yeah. They did mention here domestic parks attendance grew slightly year over year. So it did grow. It's not like it actually dropped. So like despite all the articles you saw, their attendance still grew in the third quarter. So it's just not growing as much as it was because of all that pent up COVID demand. So and they even mentioned here too attendance composition changes, which is code for more annual pass holders coming into the parks. Yeah,
and it's there's one last part here, and actually it's funny because what you're talking about is sustainability, right? Like they had that spike after COVID, and now it's leveling off, and you have to find where that sustainable area is, and so the last point here is actually around we were talking about movies earlier, and they said regarding studio performance, let's put things in perspective a bit. The studio has had a tremendous run over the last decade, perhaps the greatest run any studio that's had has had multiple billion-dollar hits, and they list like Guardians of the Galaxy, and Avatar for some reason.
Well, Avatar made over $1 billion.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
and,
I guess I didn't think of that as a Disney movie.
Well, it is now.
But,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
It is now. Yeah.
But so you know, those were huge box office hits, but then they had some other ones that had been disappointing to them. But the thing is that you know exactly what he's talking about in the earnings call is that you know they've had a great run for the last decade, but you can't sustain that forever. There is going to hit a point where you can't keep firing out like, you know, these amazing over the top movies. There's only so much you can do, and you do eventually have to let it drop off a little bit, or you know, let it drop off and kind of let people's expectations reset, because you know part of it too is you know even with all the you know movies like Avengers and stuff that came out, you know those set the bar really high, and but you have to reset the level at some point. And I think that's what Bob Iger's realizing, is that you know Disney is going to probably level out here a little bit, meaning that you know they're not going to keep trying to shoot for you know these crazy over the top movies for a little bit, because it hits a point where it stops hitting the way that it did, right? And even to the point about, you know, some of the more recent movies is that they're not getting the same response because they're not like, you know, people compare them to Avengers, and it's you can't do that. Like you have to let people kind of reset and you know stop expecting you know $1 billion movies, I guess.
Well, and I just pulled this up because like I'd read that even now, this was before Oppenheimer and Barbie came out, but up until those movies came out, Disney was I think they were still like 30 something % of the market share. Like they were still leading in earnings of box office share of all the studios. So even though they had a less than good year, they still were leading. Now that probably changed with Barbie and Oppenheimer since those were huge hits. But even just I looked back here, right? So like 2016, they had 26% market share, which was, you know, 10% higher than anybody else. 21% in 2017, again, higher than everyone else. 26%, 33% in 2019. Like, I mean, and then, you know, even 2021, they were 25%. So like Disney's been like over 20% of the box office basically for the past, you know, bunch of years here. So it's, you know, you're right. It's hard to sustain that. Right. And like everybody was waiting for Pixar to make a bomb. Right. Like, you know, and because Pixar for the longest time, everything they did was, you know, was gold. But, you know, you can't do that forever. You just can't. Like, it's just not possible, right? Like, you're always going to have movies that don't do as well. And, you know, and I do think having Iger back is probably helpful. Iger was known for being more on the creative side of things. And I think he, you know, is really trying to drive that creativity. And, you know, Chapek was not known for that, you know, and a lot of the movies that came out this summer were under Chapek's guidance, right? So,
which kind of makes sense, unfortunately. Which
it makes sense, right? So, I mean, but you know, listen, some interesting things in here. The company, you know, is doing fine. I mean, they're definitely dealing with a lot of stuff, especially with all the strikes going on, and you know, reducing travel. But you know, Iger keeps saying that you know one of the most important parts of this company is the park. So, as a Parks fan, that is always great for me to hear, because that makes me feel good that Iger understands at least. And I hope that the next person understands that the parks are, you know, such a key to their business that they have to continue making them better and continue what they're doing and not let them fall by the wayside, you know?
Yeah. But that also, I guess I also take that as, you know, that doesn't mean that kind of the same thing as the movies is that, you know, we've talked about, you know, like, well, what's the next ride or what's the next big thing that Disney's doing in the parks, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be that, you know, we're getting a new ride every year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like
sure.
I guess that's kind of some of the messaging I'm getting from this too, is that, you know, Iger's trying to level set a little bit that, you know, yeah, we've got things coming, but don't expect that, you know, we're going to fire out the next thing in the next 12 or 24 months.
Yeah,
right? So,
absolutely. they've always too, like, they've always been good about, like, there's always something different going on, right? Like, and what I mean by that is the 50th anniversary celebration ended, then the 100th anniversary celebration started, right? And like before that, though, before they had these milestone ones, you know, they would have like, I remember there was like a Summer of Frozen thing. They did like a Pixar thing. They did, you know, like they always have like some sort of special event going on that makes it feel different and new, you know? And like that's what I think they do really well, and why they're, you know, and you know, you have that with Food and Wine and Flower and Garden and Epcot and all those different festivals always kind of make it feel new and different every year. Even though it's the same kind of festival, there's different things, there's different booths, there's different food. You know, it's keeping everything new and fresh and different. And I think they're going to continue doing that. And like we've talked about, I think they're going to announce big stuff soon. But again, that stuff's going to be years away. So,
you know what else this is making me think about is that as much as people don't like, you know, nobody likes to hear that, you know, that there's a lull in the parks, or that, you know, that attendance is down. Like it's funny because, you know, people hear the whole, like, you know, oh, you know, things are not as good as they were last year. And so that gets extrapolated to, oh, you know, Disney parks aren't doing well. Right.
Yeah.
The thing about that, or this is actually what I like the most, is that when they start seeing a hit in revenue, they actually get more creative.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because this is always when you see something like, what was it? Like they did there was a thing they did years ago in Disneyland where it was this interactive thing in Frontierland where there was like two teams competing against one another. And it was like, you would go sign up at this thing and go around to all these different stations, kind of like a scavenger hunt kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, it didn't run forever, but, you know, it was something that they were trying with like, you know, interactive entertainment. And the thing is that the way I see it is, you know, when people go, oh, you know, they're worried about, you know, things weren't, you know, Disney's not doing well, is, you know, that's kind of when they kick into overdrive.
Yeah,
and that's always when you get the more interesting stuff that does happen. And you do have to be patient because, you know, it doesn't happen instantly, but I'm hoping that, you know, to your point, you know, not just that we see more, you know, Food and Wine stuff, you know, that they try, you know, hey, they're going to try something new in the parks that you've never seen before. And when you go, you get to have an experience that you would have never had otherwise. Right. That's what I'm kind of taking from this, is that, you know, Iger is definitely level setting, and he's, you know, they've got some stuff planned, but he's also not going to show his hand right away either. And yeah, you know, I just want to see what happens, because, you know, it gives me more reason to go back to the park. It's not that, you know, I still just love going to the parks anyway, but
yeah,
you know, it's always nice when you go there and, you know, they're trying something new.
And there's something exciting and new and different that you could do, you know?
Yeah. And it doesn't always have to be a ride, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, sometimes those experiences are just as valuable as, you know, getting a new ride.
No, I 100% agree with that, and like those special events and stuff like that. But I mean, I feel like every time Bob Iger speaks, he says the same thing, that and he said that in the earnings call, I'm very optimistic about the future of this business over the long term. And he said, you know, making investments in the parks, and, you know, he's talked many times about the $17 billion that they want to invest in at Disney World. So I think we just need to wait to hear what that's going to be. Right. Like we just need to wait until to hear what that is actually going to consist of. And well, I mean, I think we're going to hear it soon enough. Like I said, I have been speculating. I think we'll hear at least, you know, before the end of the year or early next year, you know, what the plans are. They're going to lay something out. But I mean, I remember D23, like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even more recently than that, where they laid out like everything they were going to do. Like, remember how many things we had to talk about on that one D23 show where it was like they announced all the stuff they were doing and adding. And I mean, it might have even been when they were talking about Star Wars, and you know, they were going to put that theater in Magic Kingdom, which got canceled, and all the Epcot stuff and like all that. Like, I feel like we're going to have a big announcement like that at some point. So, but we gotta wait and see.
Yep. All right. So since it's August here, you know, let's talk about Halloween.
It's Halloween. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's Halloween. Yeah, Halloween's happening right now. So first of all, I'm gonna say a couple things about this. So we looking at some photos of the exclusive Nightmare Before Christmas popcorn bucket that has debuted at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. The first thing I'm going to say is this is not a popcorn bucket.
It's a popcorn bucket holder.
It's a popcorn holder. So, and I want to make the differentiation on that because to me, a popcorn bucket actually holds the popcorn. This is just holding the container that holds the popcorn, which is fine. It's fine. This is more of a display piece anyway than something you'd want to like put popcorn into. I actually think this is really cool. I am not a Nightmare Before Christmas fan. We talked about this before. I don't think anybody on the show is really into it, but I will say this is one of the cooler popcorn buckets I've seen. Popcorn holders, I should say. Very detailed, like lights up. I just think it's really cool looking. I would think about buying this even though I'm not into that movie. It is very well done and looks very cool.
Yeah, it looks more like a toy you would buy for Nightmare Before Christmas than a popcorn bucket. And so yeah, just you'll see pictures of this when the podcast comes out, but they have it's the mayor of Halloween Town driving, and then it's a hearse with lock, shock, and barrel in the back and zero on the one side. So yeah, if you're into Nightmare Before Christmas, it's definitely, it'd definitely be something worth collecting. But yeah, the thing that, to your point is, you open the top and you put the the standard popcorn, their cardboard popcorn, container.
Popcorn thing. Yeah.
Into the top. So that, it's great that it's holding your popcorn, but I guess the thing is for me, the whole thing about popcorn buckets is that, they have a lid that you can, like close up your popcorn so that it doesn't spill. And this is like you said, it's entirely a showpiece. It's not meant to be functional, which, that's where, when they say it's a popcorn bucket now, it's not, because you're not putting your popcorn in it.
Yeah.
But, for those that like it, great. I'm not going to be, rushing to get something like this. The only thing I hope though is that, again, back to the point about Disney experimenting is, maybe this is, them trying something new, but I hope it's not going to be, I hope it doesn't preclude, future popcorn buckets that everything is, we'll give you the paper popcorn container and here's a thing to like kind of hold it in, but your popcorn's still going everywhere, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I still want the popcorn. It's like, I don't know.
It does light up too, which is cool, I will say.
Yeah, which, I mean, there's lots of other popcorn buckets that light up as well. So, that's,
like
that's
the wheels
not
roll too. Yeah, no, it's not unique. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely, it's a toy at the end of it. It looks like a toy at the end of the day. But
I could see my daughter playing with this as a toy.
Yeah. But I guess, if I was, this is where it's like, would it be better off to just sell this as a toy in the park or advertise it as a popcorn bucket? Like it seems almost unnecessary as a popcorn bucket because it would have been fine as a toy. Right.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, too, I think for this detailed of a piece, $28 is not terrible.
True.
At first I was thinking, I was like, oh, that seems expensive. But I mean, it's a really pretty detailed piece. And plus you get popcorn with it, which is always nice too. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's cool. I think it's well done. And they're getting really not getting, I mean, it's been for a while now, but these popcorn buckets have gotten really intricate, and like really well detailed, Yeah,
but I'm still, if I'm buying a popcorn bucket, I want it to hold my popcorn.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. I agree. This is not a popcorn bucket. It's a holder of popcorn.
Yeah. So it's a holder of a popcorn container. It's not even a holder of popcorn. It holds your, this is Inception going on here. We're no longer holding the popcorn. We're holding the holder.
Popcorn that's holding the popcorn. We're holding the container that's holding the popcorn.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. The other thing that I saw posted about this, which I really love what they've been doing with the monorails lately.
Mhm.
It's such a simple, small thing, but it's just really cool. So for the Halloween party this year, typically you see all the orange and purples, the colors lit up everywhere. Well, now they have the monorail fleet during the Halloween party with the LEDs on the bottom with purple and orange, which is I love this. I love that they're doing this. It's just one of those things that Disney does that you just are like, yeah, that's awesome and cool.
It's simple, but it just further adds to the impressiveness of the monorail, which, the monorail is already a cool thing in and of itself. And then,
exactly.
If you're leaving the Halloween party and it rolls up with the purple and orange on the bottom. Yeah. Just please, Disney, just keep doing that.
That's the kind of thing you would remember as a kid, right?
Totally.
Like you would remember walking, like, you're half asleep, you're walking out of the Halloween party and you see the monorail going by. And it's just like one of those, like, I remember the Main Street Electrical Parade from when I was a kid. I remember the water pageant from when I was like really young. It's like one of those very few memories I have from being a young kid at Disney World. And this is something I would totally remember,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
anyway,
yeah.
Even if you're staying anywhere, near the Magic Kingdom, you see the monorails go by and, you'll be able to just see these rolling by with the colors, right?
Exactly.
Like, any kid looking out their hotel window, like you said, you're done at the party, going back to your room and you just see the monorail go by. Like, yeah, that's Disney's doing exactly what they should be doing for our Halloween parties. So I'm expecting that, the same thing will happen at the Christmas party.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that. I'm assuming we're going to see red and green monorail colors going through the Christmas party. So, but listen, if I go during that time, I'll let you know. But I guess I won't be going to the party. I'm not going to the party, but
you may still catch the monorail depending on when you're there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems like they're only doing it on party nights, which fine, but
yeah, I guess I've found that Disney they say that, but my experience was like when we were there, they still like some of those things. They didn't care enough to like switch it off on the non-party nights.
Yeah.
Like it was still there.
Yeah. They just did it still. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last thing here, the last item we have for today, because we talked about this last week and the week before, there's not a lot of news going on right now. There's the Halloween's ramping up. A lot of people are, kids are getting back to school and it's a little bit of a lull with Disney news, and that's okay. But so we've got Not So Scary Halloween Party magic shots. Listen, I'm a big fan of the magic shot. I will ask every PhotoPass photographer to do a magic shot whenever we do it, which probably annoys them. I like the ones that just do it. You know what I mean? I like the ones that just are like, hey, put your arm out and we'll go, okay. Like I wish every photographer would do that. I feel like I don't want to say some of them are lazy. I feel like some of them just don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? They're just like, take a picture, get out of here.
Yeah.
But I appreciate when they just do it. But it's nice to ask for these too. So there's some new ones for the Halloween party. We've got one where it looks like the poison apple is being given to you.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Oh, I don't. What's in the top of that? Is it like a stick? Is it? It's a poison apple.
It's like a candy apple. Yeah.
A poison candy apple. Okay, so that's a new one. There's a Tinkerbell dressed in like fall colors one where it will land on your hand. There's the classic balloons floating away one, but they made it all Halloween balloons. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. They've got some prop ones, looks like.
They got these, they got the classic Halloween episode ones with Huey, Dewey, and Louie dressed in their costumes from the old, that, I can't remember the name of the episode.
What was that?
With the witch.
What was that cartoon? Yeah.
Yeah.
I recognize it, but I'm trying to remember what it was from. I
can't remember the name of it now, and it's going to drive me nuts. But it was the one where they go and they knock on the witch's door, it was the witch helps them mess with Donald because they knock on Donald's door, and Donald was a jerk to them. Yeah.
As he tends to be. Yeah. As he
Yeah.
tends to be.
And then there's the three ghosts from the Mickey Mouse, when Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are Ghostbusters.
Yeah, when they're Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Before the Ghostbusters.
Before the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And those are the new ones, but they have returning the dancing skeletons, which, by the way, my daughter is obsessed with that dancing skeleton cartoon from like the 20s.
Yeah.
They just actually recently like redid it. Well, not like remade it, but they like what do they call that? Yeah, they upgraded it like so it looks a lot better. And my daughter, I thought my daughter would be scared by it because it is kind of scary, but she's like obsessed with it for some reason. She just absolutely loves the dancing skeletons, and I would love to do this photo op. It's a cool photo op for sure.
Yeah, it's cool that they actually get like the black and white filter on it.
Yeah,
which it's very nice.
Yeah, and there's also another. I'm just looking at the new ones because some of these are the same. Like they have the Hitchhiking Ghosts by the Haunted Mansion. Well, by Hall of Presidents. Headless Horseman. A new one though is ever by Storybook Circus. They have Maleficent attacking you, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a very cool one.
I like that one.
She's like coming around the side of the building. It looks like
yeah. That one's cool. I like it. Are there any other new ones? No, the rest of them are the same. But listen, I've always wanted to do the Halloween party. I will do it one of these days. It's just not right now, but I will. We're going to get my daughter there at some point when she's going to appreciate it, because I don't want to spend the absurd amount of money it takes to do it and have her fall asleep at 8:30. So
yeah, you definitely want to be up late for that one.
She's not an up late kid, man. We'll get to like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and she will pass out. So
my kid did it. We did the Halloween party when he was 11, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was at an age where he pushed through, and it also helped too. The thing to remember is that the trick or treat trails and the cookies that they hand out, the sugar rush is enough to get the kids
it's enough to keep them going.
Yeah.
You just need to throw sugar at them. Yeah,
just be prepared for the crash later, because it does come.
Yeah, you got to just give them some pixie sticks, and I just one last thing. We're out of news things, but I wanted to ask you this, Trevor, and I know I do this sometimes, and you're like, of course we have that thing in Canada that you think we don't have. So I was recently, I saw in the news recently that locally here, our only drive-in movie theater is coming back. And I don't know, is that a thing up in Canada, drive-in movie theaters?
Yeah, we used to have them as well. The one that we had, particularly in my city, it was next to an oil refinery.
Oh, great!
And there was a fire. And,
well, that's
and it never reopened after that. But yeah, I went to the drive-in as a kid, and they do the pop-up ones here every once in a while too.
Okay.
Like we'll have them around the city where they'll advertise a pop-up drive-in theater. So
you want to talk about getting me to go to the movies more? I would totally do more drive-ins. Like if they had drive-ins made a comeback, I would be going to the movies a lot more. I know all of them basically closed, but and there's very few left. But man, I used to love the drive-in movies. It's like a whole experience. Like my daughter would be all about that. Like if we could do it, but
the hard part for us up here is that the drive-in really only operated during the summer because we don't. It's too cold in the winter to be doing drive-in.
That makes sense. Sense. No, it's just one of those things I wish would make a comeback. Like they need to come up with like a cool new concept for it and make it like a hipstery thing, and then it will be good. Right. So
I mean, the hard part is that you have to, or you're showing up in your car. You have to keep your car, or not keep your car running, but you have to turn on the radio.
Yeah.
And then like your sound system is not great in the car versus at home. Like it's a hard sell, I think. But you're right. If they figured out some kind of experience to it that I mean, people also like that retro experience. So I mean that could be enough. But I agree. It would be nice. Like I said, we get the pop-up ones every once in a while, but then the problem with that is that it's they're usually showing it's whatever movie they're showing. It's not that. Yeah. Like it would be nice to oh, I want to go see the Haunted Mansion in the drive-in. Like that would be kind of cool. Like, but
yeah, I think so.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this thing up.
All right.
Everyone
okay,
assumed a Tom and Trevor episode would go for an hour and a half, and here we are, barely over an hour.
But it's also, we're at that. We're at that lovely time where, we're kind of waiting for Disney to, like we said earlier, we're waiting for, like D23 and stuff like that. So there's not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there's not as much.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah, so as usual, if you guys, if you have any questions for us or you want to share, your own experiences and whatnot, you can always reach us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys. So, keep the emails coming. And also if you're on social media, you can always find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast and Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. On Facebook, if you look for Welcome Home Disney Waitlist, that is our Facebook group where we have a bunch of our listeners all talking about Disney stuff. There's far more knowledgeable people than us in that group that love sharing information. So, if you ever have questions, come into the group and, check out who's in there. You may find that you can make some Disney friends, which is always good. So, check that out. I know, Tom, we talked about it on YouTube now. Is the podcast available now through YouTube podcasts?
Yes, but only the last 2 episodes, right? So we're not going to go into the back catalog and post them all. That would be a lot. But going forward, yes, all the podcasts will be posted. You can get them through YouTube Music or through our YouTube channel, through the podcast tab. So it's really easy to get to, but if you also subscribe to YouTube Music or use YouTube Music, you can, there's a podcast section there too, where you can search for us and listen to the show there. So, so that's an option as well.
All right. Yeah. So if YouTube is your thing, we are more available now on YouTube. So you can flip over there and listen to us on YouTube. Also, if you wanted some Welcome Home merchandise, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out our t-shirts and glasses and all kinds of stuff that are mugs. So check that out if you'd like to get some merchandise. Maybe get some shirts for your next trip to Disney. And if you do, we people post pictures of them wearing our stuff in the parks all the time. So we love seeing that. So, if you buy something, share a pic. We love seeing it. Yeah. And also if Patreon is more your thing if you wanted to support us, you can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod and check out our different levels of Patreon support, which all have exclusive merchandise to Patreon. It's you can't get it in the store. You can only get it through Patreon. And also, if you support us through Patreon, it also gets you access to the Discord server, which is another place that we talk with our listeners. It's a little more intimate and direct. And so if that's of interest to you, please check us out on Patreon.
I should mention too, the Patreon, those gifts, you don't have to buy them. Like, based on whatever level you support us at, you just get it as part of your support with us, right? So like, it's not like you get access to a specific, like, you subscribe to a specific level of support and then you got to buy something extra. You just automatically get it based on the level that you subscribe to us at. So that's and that's something we really wanted to do for the listeners. Like, it's it comes out of what goes to us, but we wanted to reward you guys for supporting us. So so don't think you have to buy anything else. If you just support us on Patreon, you just get a free gift at every single level. There's some sort of gift that you get for free. So make sure you check that out if that's or if you want, again, we've got shirts and stuff on there. So if you want something to wear in the park, it's something worth looking at. And last but not least, if you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. It does help more people find the podcast. Do they do the star thing on YouTube? I actually haven't looked at. I actually don't know. You can comment on YouTube though. Obviously, you can comment and you can like and all that stuff too. So but you can't necessarily rate us. But
yeah. So to that end though, if you're listening on iTunes or YouTube or whatever, leave us a review. We love to hear what you guys think about the show. So we would love to. we'd love to get more reviews. We do try to read them out on the episode. So, you never know. If you leave us a review, you may hear it on the episode.
Yeah.
Have we? Or
I got a couple.
Oh, you did get a couple new ones. Okay, I know there was some last week when I was away, but what do you got?
Let's see. Should I just read one, or should I read two? Should I save one for next week?
That's up to you.
All right, I'll just read one for now.
Yeah.
This is from DL Miller 14. Great group and fun to listen to. Found this podcast back in March when I was looking for a Disney podcast. Only took an episode or two to become an immediate fan. The mixture of opinions but enjoyment for Disney is what hooked me. That it wasn't just, quote, look at what Disney's doing. Disney's so great all the time. So that was the review. Yeah, I mean, listen, we're a real show. We say, real things, and I don't think we paint a rosy picture all the time, right? I mean, but yeah, I appreciate that.
We like
review.
To be real.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that you just welcome as a new listener, by the way. That's great. That you're a fairly new listener here, although it's been 5 months. So thanks so much for joining the podcast. We really, really, really appreciate it. So besides, go ahead, Trevor. What are you going to say?
No, that's I got nothing else.
Well, so besides reviewing us, which we really need you to do, please do that. Don't forget to subscribe to us as well. You can subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can even auto-download us if you want. But you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube Music, YouTube, just about any place you can find podcasts, you can find us. Just search for Welcome Home. Look for the one that's, Disney, DVC. You'll find us pretty quickly. We tend to show up first now, Trevor, in the search engine. So it's good. I think we're one of the last Welcome Home standing.
There can only be one.
There can only be one. Yeah.
It's like Highlander. Yeah.
Exactly. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on this show are our own. So please consult with a Disney cast member or a DVC representative for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to DVC Rental Store for sponsoring this episode, as well as World of DVC for continuing to be a supporter of this show. So please go if you're interested in renting out your DVC points, making a little extra money for yourself, when you can't go to Disney, or, trying out DVC, or even if you don't want to try out DVC, if you just want to stay at deluxe resorts at discounted rates, you could do it that way too. Yeah. So
just cheaper Disney vacations. Exactly.
Yeah. DVCrentalstore.com/welcome home. Please check them out. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit its hair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.